You know, I think everybody recognizes today that our financial markets are in a big mess. And I've complained for many years about the Federal Reserve System, but I'd have to say that Chairman Bernanke himself is not responsible for this mess. Not that I think he has the answers in this deeply flawed monetary system, but obviously the seeds of this mess have been planted over a long period of time, but it's a more reflection of the system rather than that of one individual. But it's amazing how panicky people have been getting and how everybody's wringing their hands, and yet, you know, our government tells us, well, there is no recession, so things must be all right. A lot of people are very angry, and yet we know there's something seriously wrong. But with all the mess that we have in the financial markets, and now we see this morning that inflation is roaring back, and yet it is still way below what the private economists are saying about what price inflation is really doing. But the consumer knows all about it. But it seems like around here, whether it's from Treasury or the Federal Reserve or even in the Congress, all we need now is to have a world-class regulator, and it's going to solve all our problems. And I think that is so simplistic, where from my viewpoint, what we need is a world-class dollar, you know, a dollar that is sound, not a dollar that continues to depreciate, and not a system where we perpetually just resort to inflation and deficit financing to bail out everybody. And this is what we've been doing. And it hasn't been just with this crisis, but ongoing crisis. And we've been able to pull ourselves out of these nosedives quite frequently. One of the worst nosedives with the dollar was in 1979, and we patched it together. But I think the handwriting on the wall is there's a limit to how many times we can bail the dollar out, because the conditions are so much worse today than they have ever been. You know, we talk a lot about predatory lending, but I see the predatory lending coming from the Federal Reserve, interest at 1%, overnight rates, loaning to the banks, encouraging the banks and investors to do the wrong things, causing all the malinvestment. These conditions were predictable. They were predicted by the Austrian free market economists. It should surprise nobody. And yet nobody resorts to looking to those individuals who were absolutely right about what was coming and what we should have done. Even as early as 7 years ago, I introduced legislation that would have removed the line of credit to the Treasury, which was encouraging the moral hazard and the malinvestment. But here it looks like now we're going to need $300 billion of new appropriations. So we need to look at the monetary system and its basic fundamental flaws that exist there, and then we might get to the bottom of these problems that we're facing today.